Starting now, this is Real People. Real issues. Real news. Real people.
I'm Stephanie Allensworth, and this is Real People.
This is Real People.
Hi, welcome to the show. I'm Stephanie Allensworth, and this is Real People. My guest today is an astrologer and a healer. Her name is Redglare. I'd like to welcome you to the show. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Stephanie.
Well, can we talk first about how you got your name? It's such an unusual name.
Oh, yes. And it serves me well sometimes, too.
I bet it does.
Yes. Well, in my 20s, I had training with our Lakota people for preparing for Vision Quest. And I spent an entire year, I was working through liaison with the medicine man, who was Martin Heiber at the time. Oh, and it was wonderful. I made my own pipe. I spent a whole year, meeting my spirit guides, learning how to dream consciously. And then just when it came time for me to go out for Vision Quest, which is, 3 days and nights on the mountain alone without food or water, my liaison with the medicine man put some unwanted pressures on me and said, either you do this that I like, or I'm not going to help you have your Vision Quest anymore, which devastated me. It devastated me because I had so engaged with the process. The dreams I was having were tremendous. I was learning so much about myself. And so, and a whole year, I prepared for a whole year. And so I had to let it go, and I was so saddened. But then the vision came spontaneously when I was at home in my apartment, and I was lying on my bed, and the vision just came, and it empowers you for your life. It absolutely empowers you for your life. I saw the creation of the universe by the word of God, which is the Om, the seed creative sound, the Om, and I saw light bursting into forms. It was so beautiful. It brings tears to my eyes to this day. I saw the formation of galaxies and fountains of stars. And my spiritual name came, Rockets Redglare, because you get a spiritual name through that tradition when you go on your vision quest. When I awoke from that vision, it made this waking consciousness seem like the dream state. It completely reoriented my life to the spirit that empowers every form and every manifestation in creation. And it showed me with 100% clarity that I have nothing to fear as long as I stay in alignment with the love and the power that created all things.
That is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Oh my gosh, I'm going to cry. I think that is just, I want to do it.
I have chills all over every time I think of it.
I got chills listening to you explain it. That is wonderful, and it's so wonderful that Spirit gave it to you anyway, even though you didn't get to do the traditional piece.
Yes.
After so much,
and
so unfortunate
things.
That somebody's pressuring you for something else.
That was part of the process.
I guess so.
Because then it didn't come through the filter of that culture entirely.
Yeah.
It came to me for who I am.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And then I've had so many affirmations since then.
Yeah.
Like my rising degree in my astrology is a daughter of the American Revolution. I wasn't even remotely patriotic when I had this vision, and I immediately legalized the vision name because my passion for spirit is the priority in my life.
Yeah.
So I immediately legalized it, and it's just very interesting how many things have confirmed that through the years. That was back in 1981.
Oh, wow. Wow. I love it. Oh, well, let's talk about your astrology, because you are an astrologer by trade. You do that for people. And how did you get into that? Were you doing astrology before you did your Vision Quest?
Oh, yes.
Did it all come at the same time?
I was on my own out of the house at 16 years old. And I took my first class at 16. I was living in downtown Minneapolis, and there was a little bookshop there. I don't remember what it was called anymore, just, not far from downtown. And I took my first astrology lessons from Linda Berglund, who was pretty well known as an astrologer for a while, and couldn't stop, every day since.
Yeah,
it's just so wonderful.
So you've been doing this now for a living and going on, have people come to you and
Yes.
you do their charts, and you do the
Yes.
full charts, but you do something a little bit different. The Chiron, or is it the Chiron? Well, I don't know how to pronounce that.
I specialize in Chiron.
Chiron,
Yes.
okay. I could see how it was spelt in my head, but I couldn't figure out how to
Yes.
pronounce it.
Yes, Chiron,
So Chiron. Okay.
Who's the wounded healer. Now, Chiron is not a planet, and people kind of argue about what it is. I like to call it a minor planet. It's a very unusual body that has come from outside of our solar system. And it's kind of among the asteroids in that area, but it has come from afar, and at some point it will leave our solar system again. And the teachings of Chiron have been so key to my life, and so I've studied that intensively and work with people in healing their soul wound, because Chiron in the astrology chart describes the soul wound. Now, not everybody's ready to go there, and there's an interesting dance between the soul wound and the ego. I had a flashback where I remembered coming down from Great Spirit, coming down and coming into form and into a body, into male or female, and the conscious mind, the subconscious splits off. There's this split from spirit and the oneness and the love that we all came from, that we all remember, and it's traumatic. And so every one of us carries a wound signature from that separation. And so when I look at somebody's chart, it gives me some insight into, some of their deepest, most precious self, you see. And so if I talk to them, start to open a dialogue, then what you find pretty much across the board is that nothing makes people happier than when they do take responsibility for their whole life, heal their soul wound, and then they begin to become medicine for other people with the issues that they struggled with so painfully.
Oh, that is really cool. Now, if it's in the asteroid belt, or kind of follows in that path, where would it show up in your chart?
Well, it's got quite an elliptical orbit, so it spends a longer time in some signs than in others. So it doesn't have a regular orbit, but typically everybody comes into their Chiron return, where it comes back to where it was when they were born at about 50 years of age.
Oh, okay.
And so Chiron describes the soul wound. It describes their gifts of spirit, their unique gifts, their most precious gifts, light, their purest essence, that the gifts that they have, which are usually hidden away and protected for some time. And I'll also mention that when we came down from spirit, the ego formed at the same time that separation took place, that traumatic separation took place. And so there's an interesting dance with the ego kind of being invested in the Chiron soul wound remaining the same. And so not everybody is at a place where they're ready to go into that depth of experience, So I specialize it when people are ready for it. I love to do that work. But then I also do transformational body work in concert with the astrology, because the astrology gives me so much insight into the context of what that person is going through right now. What's the evolutionary intent? If they're having some difficulties, then what's the context from the bigger picture of their life? Because astrology teaches us that reality is love-based. It is love-based, and behind every stress, every challenge, every pain, every test, every difficulty, there is ultimately love.
Yeah.
And once we come to realize that, then we don't feel so defensive with life, and we're able to relax more into our core being, anchoring deep in the love that we came from in the beginning.
and then you go out and you become that love for somebody else too. And you, from what I understand anyway, because now I'm like dying to have a session with you. Expect to hear from me very soon. Because this is like, this is part of my life's journey, right? Is to learn as much as I can about the metaphysical.
So explorer.
I'm the explorer, and the metaphysical is where I'm taking the deep dives. So
oh, that's wonderful. We need more of that. You know, like these real people. We need that.
Yes.
There's so much counterfeit right now in the world.
It's hard to tell behind the mask. You know, they have to take the mask off first, and it's like, oh, okay, fool me once, right? So, we're being bombarded by EMFs, and I know that you have a lot going on, and just so if people don't know what EMFs are, it's
electromagnetic fields.
Geez, no, I can't say it. Yeah,
EMFs,
electromagnetic fields.
And EMR, which is electromagnetic radiation.
Right.
Yes.
Right, and that's causing a lot of people to have getting into discord with their bodies, because our bodies are tuned, right, to a certain frequency.
Not only causing them to be in discord and out of tune with their bodies, and I feel this in practically everybody I work on nowadays. It didn't used to be this way, but the separation is usually here in the solar plexus of being pulled into the head so much with the screens, the technologies. And then what happens is people aren't breathing as deeply. They're not connecting with reality in that natural, healthy way with reality and nature. And then they're also cut off with their deeper resources of strength, of confidence, of knowing and innate truth.
Right, and by that you mean they're not grounding themselves, so not touching earth.
Disconnected. Yeah, touching earth is part of it, but it's soul. People are disconnected with their own deeper soul by spending so much time focused and plugged into the lower mental. You know, the higher is the balance to that. The greater, bigger picture is the balance to the lower daily mind. And we've kind of gotten pulled into one side of that more than the other.
And you work on that as well, right? With people, you help retune us.
Oh yes, every session I do
tuning up piano, right? Yeah.
Oh yes, every session it's retuning to love-based reality, to the depths of creation. You know, calming and deepening, balancing the hemispheres of the brain. Everybody I work on, I work to balance the hemispheres of the brain.
Ah, right. So with the hemispheres of the brain, now it doesn't matter left and right-handed, because I'm left-handed and I tend to be a little more ambidextrous. And, you know, I know people that are very, very separated left and right. They can't seem to function at all with their left hand. And I find that extremely interesting.
Often left-handed people are more flexible with that than often, generally speaking.
I think maybe it's because we grow up in a right-handed world. But,
yes.
So we just learn to do things with both.
Yes.
But I find it always kind of interesting when somebody's eating and they have to switch their utensils because they can't cut with their right hand. They can cut with the right hand, but then they have to switch, put down the knife, and take up the fork, and then eat. You know, and I'm like, I observe that type of thing, and I'm like, well, that's interesting.
Yes. Well, essentially, when the right and the left hemispheres of the brain are in balance, then we're not operating so much in duality. So life becomes easier. Essentially, tuning the brain and balancing the hemispheres then enables the individual to relax deeper and deeper into the natural ease of life, and then life just flows with less stress and with more deep knowing, deeper connection. It's more empowered when you're balanced.
Yeah, I absolutely love this. I love this. I knew the minute I met you that this was something that we had to do a deep dive about, because it's so interesting to me, and it's just also the same path that I'm on. But you're light years ahead of me, obviously.
No.
No, well, I feel that way because you've got all this great knowledge, and I've only dabbled with astrology. But I do read some tarot cards, and I do other things. But it's the EMFs have become really, really interesting to me, and I've started to take even steps for myself and doing red light therapy.
Excellent,
And you know, for Christmas this year, people asked me what I wanted, and I said, I want a red light wand.
Oh, yes.
Mostly for me, but then I inherited this dog that's got arthritis in her hips, and I'm like, I want to try it on her hips.
Oh, yes.
So we're hoping, you know, things, you know, we can help ease some of her pain.
Oh,
because
yes.
it's kind of hard. So, yes, because animals feel this too, don't they?
Oh, of course they do. In fact, we have a pet bunny. A bunny. He has been crossbred with wild rabbits. He's a Netherland dwarf, so he's small. He's got his senses and instincts quite strong. And when I first became aware, now I've been studying EMFs intensively for about 4 years, and what everybody should do who's interested is get the meter, get a tri-field meter, and start looking at what's going on in your environment and where these hot spots are. And so about the time I'd gotten the meter, I noticed, you know, that he was crabby in a certain area of the room. Turns out I was using Wi-Fi, which I don't use anymore. I had a Wi-Fi router in that area where he would just get touchy and unhappy. And all my life, sometimes I get flashes of insight about things, like microwaves. I had a flash once where I saw it reversing the spin, and I've never had a microwave oven or anything like that, but that was years before people started really talking about the issues with that. And so too with the bunny, I saw the wireless affecting his nerves. I just had a flash where I saw it, and it was really clear. Okay, that's not good. You know, that's causing him stress. He's not feeling at home in my home because of this, as he does now.
Yeah, because you removed it.
He has changed. Oh yes, I don't use wireless at all, and that's not hard. You know, fiber optic is the best way to get your internet. It's even more stable. It's much healthier. But if you're going to use wireless, then you probably know, turn off the router so you can sleep at night. Otherwise, it's going to be interfering with your brain waves.
Okay, that's interesting.
So insomnia is one of the first problems people notice with electromagnetic radiation or electromagnetic fields. That's usually one of the first problems, is they're having trouble sleeping.
Okay.
And then there's a host of symptoms, you know, headaches, hypertension, arrhythmia, rashes. You know, you can, if people want to research this, and it's been proven, you know, this has been proven. Unfortunately, here in our country, it's been, the information has been kept a little in the corner.
Yeah, and we know why.
Yes.
Well, honey, I think we're getting an EMF meter for my birthday or yours, okay? They're coming up, so. Yeah, definitely, because I have a cat. Okay. I have 2 cats and a dog now, and the 2 cats, one was a feral that we brought in, and she was just a scaredy cat for so long, and when I had 2 cats before that, and one passed away. George's sister passed away, and all of a sudden, with the dog coming in, my little topaz kitty is just hissing and growling at the other cat all the time, and he's not doing anything. Like, I keep yelling at him like he's antagonizing her.
He's triggered.
But it's in my bedroom. She's under my bed most of the time when it happens, and he's just coming into the room, and then she'll start growling and hissing, and I'm like, what is going on? Now, I have a massive amount of crystals in my bedroom, and I keep thinking, is there something in here that's not jiving with her? Or now my bedroom is right above the office where the router is. Oh, and
well, that could be. You know, if you gotta try. Well, yeah, it goes through the wall, through the ceiling.
Yeah. So it travels through the house, but it would be strongest right there because it's right below.
Strongest. The closer you get to it. In fact, the wireless will drop off pretty fast as you move away from it. You can see that with your meter when you get your meter.
Yeah. Meter. Getting a meter. That is. I have been just racking my brain trying to figure out why, because it was just almost like a flip of a switch that she changed.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
that's probably contributing. There may be
Yeah.
more to it we don't know.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are other technologies coming out now, too, that are putting animals at ease like we've never seen before, you know, that also helped with our rabbit. There are technologies that use the natural Schumann resonances of the earth to not only help people come into their bodies better and be more comfortable in their bodies, but also to help the animals with their arthritis, you know, whatever problems they may have. It's really working very well.
And there's actually like, what do we call them, a unit or something that you
Yeah.
use. And I know you have one of these, and
I do.
I get to try it out.
Yes.
And that's the piece you're talking about that people lay on or sit on, and
Yes.
and it just kind of tell me about how that works. What does it do? How does it get into you?
Okay, well, it does two things. First of all, it generates a very low frequency electromagnetic field that is very earthy. You know, the Schumann resonance is about 7.8, and there's a number of resonances that, you know, like up to 10.
Okay, and the Schumann
They're
is like what,
natural.
the one that's closest to the human resonance?
The Schumann is kind of the average of them,
Okay.
in the middle. And so our bodies are accustomed to working and to healing in the Schumann electromagnetic field resonance of the earth.
Oh, okay.
You see,
Got it.
and so this is why we're starting to have a lot of problems, a lot of physical problems. They're beginning to compound because bodies, if they don't get a break from non-native electromagnetic fields, then we're not sleeping right and the body isn't able to restore itself. And so this wonderful technology, first it generates that low frequency field that balances your nervous system. You know, the way we're living, the parasympathetic nervous system is repressed if we're living with a lot of these technologies. And when the parasympathetic nervous system comes forward, that's when the body naturally shifts into that relaxation where it can start to heal itself. And so, well, like a child, if a child falls down, is injured, and cries and is comforted by a parent, and then the child will heave a big sigh. That's the resetting of the nervous system with the parasympathetic, and that's what this technology does. And so it helps the animal and the human being, you know, release all those stresses and settle into the body. And it's got that earthy, nurturing electromagnetic field. But then it uses that to deliver a very fine, refined signal to the circulatory system, specifically to the intermediate circulatory system, which is the arterioles and the venules, which works together with the heart to move the blood into the capillaries, which tends to fall off as people get older. If they're injured, if they're sick or elderly, that tends to fall off. And so this is amazing because it, using a natural frequency that speaks to the nitrous oxide in the body, gets that system pumping again, as it naturally would if one were a healthy adolescent or 20-year-old.
Wow.
It's fabulous because it's completely natural.
And you do a couple sessions. I mean, it's something you should probably do for the rest of your life, but it takes a couple times to kind of get it, get yourself retuned, basically.
Quite honestly, to experience the best that this technology can do, if you're just trying it out, you want to try it for 3 days, twice a day, and that will raise your oxygenation in your body and in your blood 29%. It will raise the adenosine triphosphate, which is the adenosine triphosphate, which is the natural molecular cell energy. Okay, it'll raise that up 29%, and then the circulation will improve 29%. So in 3 days, you know, doing it with a good 8-hour window, you know, between your sessions, then you get to experience the peak optimum of what it can do. And so then if you keep it up on a regular daily basis, it just gets better from there.
Wow. I say wow a lot. Wow, because I'm wowed, that's why.
It's wonderful. I
yeah.
haven't been so inspired about something for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you seem extremely inspired just by all of the things that you've been experiencing, and that you've had this wonderful journey. Was it always so wonderful, or did you have
No, because shortly after the vision with my spiritual awakening in my 20s, later 20s, my Kundalini energy woke up that same year, like 3 months later, over a 3-month period, the full circuit over 3 months, which I managed to live through thanks to the yoga that I had practiced since I was 12 years old. Every kind of yoga, mantra, hatha, pranayama, bhakti, everything. I had to use everything to survive it. And then I had a number of very difficult years balancing with my body.
I see.
My spirit with my body.
Yeah.
What you find with Kundalini awakening is that if you have some old issues that tend to date way back with your soul, then they're going to come up, and you're going to have to deal with some amplified rebalancing. That's what it was for me, and it took about 20 years. In fact, I had 20 years of spontaneous past life regression nonstop. And this wasn't just, I remember. No, it would be about 1 to 3 years in one regression, where I'd start speaking the language, I'd start flashing back, I'd start remembering people I used to know, and then often would meet somebody in this life from that time, and then the soul wound would open up, which in my particular path was always the loss of someone I loved through death. Okay.
Oh boy.
After going through that for 20 years, also there was a suicide in there, which took me 3 years to heal my own suicide. So I don't recommend it, because it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not even a timeout.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to cut us off here, unfortunately. But I just want to say thank you so much for being here. You are a wonderful guest, and I can hardly wait to try the machine and have a session with you. My goodness.
Thank you so much.
So thanks again for joining us today. I'm Stephanie Allensworth. This has been Real People with Rocket's Redglare, and I cannot recommend her enough. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We could sit here and talk for another hour.
Long time.
I want to hear it all.
Yeah, that didn't seem like a half hour.
I know, right?
You got my mouth going here.
Oh, but it's so good. It's such good stuff. I want to hear more.